Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Daily Crypto Byte. And we're getting a nice little bounce back today, CJ. Things are looking good for the first time in a while. So we have plenty to talk about today. We also have a member webinar later on in the day. So it's a good day to have plenty to talk about because there will be lots of crypto content coming your way. Also, we have the Crypto Kid on today. We'll cut to him for a short little segment later on in the show. But CJ, how are you doing today? How are you feeling with a little bit of relief in the markets?
Yeah, it's nice to get a bounce from support, especially on high volume with what we've seen thus far. But it's going to be interesting. We still got a lot of resistance at like 35, 36, 37. I think really getting above those levels is going to be key for the ultimate macro trend. But as of now, I mean, it's really promising to see, especially when you look at Wyckoff accumulation. A lot of people brought this to our attention in terms of Wyckoff distribution when we actually fell down. So that pattern came to fruition when we fell. We'll see if it comes to fruition back on the way up, because as you can see, I mean, based on our current bear flag in the market, it looks like we're pretty similar to where that bottom says spring right there. And since we've gotten a bounce from that level thus far, it's looking promising. So we'll see, and we're going to keep following that. I want to overlay that to the Bitcoin price very soon to see how accurate it's actually been. But yeah, we'll talk more about that in the member webinar coming up later today. Monty, what are your thoughts? I mean, what'd you feel like when you looked at the market this morning?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up this Wyckoff distribution chart because it's exactly how I feel about the direction of price. Looking at the Bitcoin chart and the ETH chart, we got a pretty nice bounce here off some critical levels. But one thing I am looking out for is that sort of head fake that we could possibly get at this sort of next step, this sign of strength in the Wyckoff distribution. And I'm worried that, we might not get this sort of higher low that we're getting here in the model. One thing I'm looking out for is a possible head fake. Yesterday in the episode, I talked about a dead cat bounce, possibly up to 40K. I think that even if we do get that bounce to 40K, that would still be a good thing in the long term for Bitcoin. I think we'd probably get rejected right around this 50 period moving average that's looking like it's headed towards the 40K range. So although I'm very encouraged by the price action we've seen so far, more so by the volume actually. I've been complaining about the lackluster volume on this show for like a month. And now that we finally have some volume, I can finally stop complaining. So very glad to see that. And there is opportunity in this market. Although I'm not totally convinced to enter a long trade and just, put it into cold storage and wait. Right now, I do think there is plenty of opportunity to get in on some profitable trades. This move from potentially 34 to 40K is something that seems almost inevitable to me over the next couple of days, especially when you consider that Wyckoff distribution that CJ was just talking about. But when we do hit there, I think that's going to be the real test for the market. How much do people take profit? How much is people's confidence shaken when we hit this critical level? Because I do expect us to be rejected. And yeah, this is going to be an important week going forward. I do think we're in for a bit of a head fake, but it's encouraging that we're seeing this volume pick up and we're seeing people accumulate regardless.
We had a member webinar yesterday with the Option Oracle, AJ Monty, as well as yourself, Matt.
Mhm.
And some interesting takeaways from that. One thing that AJ had kind of said was that, there's been so much money, so much retail money lost since the top and since we've had price kind of decline, that I think that that's going to make buyers a little bit hesitant to jump in at first. I think it'll take a little bit longer for them to get kind of confidence back. I do see merit to that. And I also see merit in what you had to say yesterday when you said, I think there's going to be a lot of volatility in the short term because there's kind of this tough struggle going on between the bulls and the bears right now. No one, they're very clearly fighting for dominance. This is not necessarily a trending market right now.
Yeah, well said, CJ. And one other thing I did want to bring to everyone's attention for Bitcoin is the head and shoulders formation we're starting to see emerge on the 1 hour chart. And I think this fits along nicely with my prediction of a 40K price target later this week, and then a possible reversal from there. But if you take a look at this here, we bottomed at 28K. And now we're, starting to consolidate again under this critical level right here of 34K. As you can see, during the other side of this inverse head and shoulders, we spent a couple of days, almost an entire weekend in this range bound area. So I wouldn't be surprised if that after we break above this 34K level and move into the 36K range, we do consolidate under this critical level for a day or two before breaking to the upside and then ultimately retesting this critical level where I would plan to be taking profit if I was entering a long-term trade today, yesterday, or even all the way down here at this low. I think that this formation is playing out nicely. I think we have some pretty clear target levels here. First and foremost at 36, followed by this one here at 37.5 or 37.9, and then this last and final one just below 40K. I see all of these price targets as realistic opportunities in this coming week. So I'll be watching all of those, and I'll be watching for a play out of this formation here, this inverse head and shoulders.
Yeah, I really like that one on the 1 hour. Thank you for pointing that out. But we have a very special guest today, Mr. Chase Leon, the crypto kid. Chase, how you been? How has your crypto endeavors gone? What have you been up to lately in terms of the crypto space and possible things that have interested you?
It's been going pretty good. I'm also curious about China. They've been banning crypto, and what I'm guessing they're shutting down all the mining companies. I'm thinking they're going to shut down all the mining companies, take it for themselves, so they start mining all the money they use for the government, and they just get the money for themselves.
Yes, that was big news this week, China banning Bitcoin mining. Jace, I know you are a crypto miner yourself. How would you feel about more miners potentially coming here into the United States? Would that be something you would welcome?
Yes, very much. I mean, people start mining, Bitcoin going up, just gets better.
I agree. Yeah, it totally does strengthen the network. And that's been a concern for a long time, is that too many miners are in China and we need some more, decentralization of the mining network. So in a way, people have been taking this as bad news, but I think this is kind of good news. One of our friends over at another YouTube channel, Digital Asset News, compared it to growing pains, which is something that, you could probably relate to because you're a young growing boy. But there is some interim pain with news like that. But at the end of the day, it's a good thing because Bitcoin's growing as an asset, and I think it will be good for the overall health of the market. But Jace, I gotta say, I love the background, love the Market Rebellion swag that you got on today. You're looking like you're ready to go, real professional. I see that Twitter handle in the top corner of your screen. Everyone, please go check out Jace's Twitter. Toss him a follow. He's full of great insights, very young, bright crypto mind. So check that out. Jace, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your thoughts on the crypto market with us today. We'll see you again next week on your next appearance on our show.
Thank you.
So CJ, ETH has been one that has been really interesting in the last couple of weeks, particularly because of that 200 period moving average. So I think that a lot of the price action we've been seeing this week is actually kind of being dictated by what we're seeing in ETH. So here's the ETH chart. I've been harping on this for a long time, and I think that based on what we're seeing in terms of this volume profile, it does almost look like we're putting in a bottom here because, for the first time in a very long time, since all the way in the middle of May, it seems like buyers are finally stepping in at this level. What are you seeing for ETH, CJ?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that this is going to play into my Doge of the day well, because we're seeing a lot of assets bounce off that critical level. I'm glad you brought up the volume profile, because the most volume we've seen in terms of recent price in that range is really at roughly 1,800. So that provides a lot of really nice support for the overall trend, not to mention the 200-day moving average. So like a lot of times what traders will do is, let's say they're riding a trend or something, they'll take the money off the table to see how price reacts to that moving average. If we fall through the moving average and price doesn't really validate it, then, you can remain with the trend. And, in that case, it would be a bearish downtrend for ETH. However, we're actually bouncing. and finding support on that 200 period moving average, which is it's much more promising. It gives me much more confidence to be able to buy off of a bullish engulfing candle forming off of support like that. Another thing I want to ask you, Monty,
Mhm.
is let's talk about short term versus long term, because I think anywhere from like 25K to 35K is going to prove to be a very, very fruitful area to accumulate Bitcoin for, say, the next 12 months, potentially 6 months even. I think price will rally very hard coming into that. But in the short term, what are your thoughts on short term trades, getting in?
Yeah, that's a great question, CJ. I completely agree with you first off that over the next, month or so, if we do consolidate in that range that you mentioned of 25 to 35K, that's where the money is made in crypto. The excitement happens on the way up, but the people that get wealthy buying crypto do it during the boring times. That's just the way it is. And I think that a lot of people that, got in during the mania that picked up at the beginning of this year, I think a lot of them haven't yet realized the benefit of accumulating during a ranging market. So it's going to be interesting to see, to what extent people step in at this range and what volatility we do get in this sort of window. I'm expecting a good amount of volatility just because of the amount of retail traders and new retail traders in the space in particular. So I wouldn't be surprised that if in the short term, the moves between that 25 and 35K range happen pretty quick, sometimes in a matter of 48 hours. So I saw someone in our chat the other day talking about how they missed those 10K candles. I think we could be in for a couple of those, most likely towards the end of this ranging market, before we hit that next leg up. So in the interim, CJ, I definitely will try and, trade in that channel. I always look for ranging markets. I think there's a great opportunity to trade those, just get in at the bottom band and exit at the upper band. I think that with both Bitcoin and ETH, for Bitcoin, that range is 25 to 35, like you said. And then with ETH, I think it's more 1,800 to about 2,600, where the 50 period moving average is currently curling down. We've seen a lot of resistance for ETH at 2,650. So I don't expect it to break that level until it's entering that next leg up in the market cycle. So to answer your question, I will be looking to trade within this range currently, but I'll also be accumulating because I do know, well, I don't know, but I feel that next leg up coming in about a month or a month and a half. And I think that will be marked by a breakout of those short-term channels that you were just mentioning.
Yeah, I think the largest candle we got, just by looking at the chart here, was around $8,000 in terms of bullish price action. So, they'll be back. We'll get the $10,000 candles. It'll be back. Doge of the day. You want to start us off, sir?
Yeah, I actually didn't go with a Doge of the day today. There were a couple I was looking at, but I just wanted to wait and see. I always talk about waiting for confirmation, and we did get confirmation today, but I just wanted to make sure that this wasn't a head fake. I think tonight, if the Asian market steps in and pushes ETH a little bit higher and Bitcoin a little bit higher, then that would be tremendous for the alts and give a lot of really great trade opportunities in the alts. I'm just waiting one more day to ensure this wasn't just a head fake and that we're headed back down. So I'm going to be watching that volume closely and making sure that ticks up. And if we do see another bullish candle tomorrow for the big boys, Bitcoin and ETH, then I'm going to reevaluate my perspective of the alts. And I will most likely have a Doge of the day for you guys tomorrow. But like I said, that's all contingent on what we see tonight in the Asian session out of the big movers, Bitcoin and ETH. So sorry, folks, no Doge of the day for me today. But CJ, I know you had a pretty good one, and it's one that I too was looking at. So I'm excited to hear what you got to say about it.
Yeah, and to your points about not having a Doge, or actually, never mind. I was going to say something I forgot. Anyways, Link, I was looking at this chart last night, and Monty, you remember when I drew these trend lines
Yeah, that was
months ago.
Yeah.
And I hadn't looked at this chart on TradingView in a long time, and I pulled it up last night, and we had kind of this Livermore accumulation channel in November of 2020. we went up, had that initial peak at about $20. That's when Portnoy, I think, sold all of his crypto initially. And then, it fell and it entered that lovely accumulation channel and really took off and went absolutely parabolic. Now we're coming down. We've given pretty much all of those gains back to the market, but we're getting a nice bounce from support at that same accumulation upward sloping trend line. So a key bounce from support at that level with a bullish engulfing candle, very, very promising. And I think that we're at least going to see a reaction rally up to the moving average there at about possibly 20 to 22. It depends on how quickly that moving average comes down, but you make a good point, Monty. And this is what I was going to say earlier that I forgot. And it's that Asia is so critical to this market. A lot of times we've actually seen more coins shifting to American retail exchanges like Coinbase, whereas, the predominantly Asian exchanges like Binance are actually losing retail coins. And so to have buy pressure come from the East is very, very critical for the overall macro trend. And once we get that, or if we get that, I think that just brings a lot more confirmation that would be good for the trend.
Yeah, 100% agree with you, CJ. And I love this link pick. That's funny that your channel's still holding up. Jesse Livermore, clearly a very intelligent guy. But that's about all we got for today. We'll be doing a live member webinar at 11:30 Central. So if you are a member, go ahead and check that out. Drop in, ask us some questions. We'll do some TA for all of your favorite assets and more. There's plenty to talk about today, so really looking forward to that. Also, thank you to Jace for coming on and sharing his insights today. Definitely go check out his Twitter. And as always, if you guys do want to check out that member webinar today, you can try our room for just $1 for the first month. The link is right below me. It's marketrebellion.com/try crypto. We have a pro charting service, a 24/7 of community of traders from all around the world. We publish actionable trade insights, daily news pieces, and we do live member webinars like we're doing today. And as always, thank you to Voyager for sponsoring this show. CJ, any parting words for our audience today?
If you would like a new place to trade crypto and you have not tried Voyager and you'd like to sign up, make sure you use the promo code REBEL25 and you'll get $25 free in Bitcoin to begin trading with. So please do that. We really love our friends over at Voyager. They're working very hard with the growth in this entire crypto market. But I'll leave it with that. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful day.